Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of East to West. Man, am I glad you guys again could join us. What a crazy time we're in. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's a crazy time that we're in. You know, the election is crazy. This COVID pandemic is crazy. The division in our country is crazy. I mean, it's just hard to just really wrap your brain around it sometimes. But I always have to just be remindful that God is still on the throne, that He is unmovable, unchangeable. He takes the worst of moments and He can make them into the best of moments, and He can help us to find that commonality in us that we seem to lose when we focus on so much of the differences and those things that tend to separate us. So I just want to chat for a few minutes. I just want to share a story from the Old Testament, and first of all, I want to just send our condolences here to the Alex Trebek family. Man, I grew up watching Alex Trebek. I cried when I heard that he had passed. Being a cancer survivor, it hits me a little harder when somebody who dies from cancer. It's just, you always get that little bit of survivor's guilt. And I certainly get that when I hear that someone has died from cancer. And so we just send our condolences out to the Trebek family. I really hope they take a while to replace him, because he's going to be irreplaceable to so many fans. So many fans. So today I want to share a story. It's a very popular story, but I don't know if anybody really knows the back end of the story. It's the story of Isaac and Ishmael. And I don't know how many out there know the story, but God had promised Abraham's wife, Sarah, that she was going to have a son. And so she remained faithful and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and starting to let the circumstances around her age, just the world around her, start to really doubt that promise. And so she waited and she waited, and she finally said, "You know what, I've had enough." How many times have we had that moment with God? Okay, I've had enough waiting. And most times the waiting is just really preparation. It's not because God is vindictive and just wants to make us suffer in the silence, in the waiting. He's really just sculpting us and getting us right for that situation. How many times have you heard people say, "Man, I was just in the right place at the right time"? And a lot of times we think that that's just coincidence, but I think a lot of times that's just God preparing the situation, and for us to be in that moment at the right time to change that situation. So she finally got tired of waiting and said, "Okay, God, you had your time. I'm done waiting on you." So she tells Abraham to go sleep with a servant, and the servant bears him a son, and they name him Ishmael. And so Ishmael was raised in the house of Abraham for about 13 years. And then God fulfilled His promise to Sarah. He gave Sarah a son, and she named him Isaac. Now, when Isaac was born, did she take the two brothers and realize that the commonality was that they had that Abraham was their father? Did she bring them together in that commonality? Absolutely not. She became jealous and didn't want Ishmael anymore. So she told Abraham to send Ishmael off with his servant mother to never be in the tent of Abraham again. I can't even imagine what Ishmael and his mom were going through. I mean, for 13 years it was like, you're it. You're the heir. You're the son of Abraham. And then with the birth, his inheritance became nothing. He became a wanderer in the desert. Just became nothing. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine the hatred that Ishmael had growing up from that point on. I mean, to be the heir, and then all of a sudden to be nothing in a moment. Life changed. So it caused the division of nations, literally. Because some say that Isaac became the father of the Hebrew nation, and Ishmael became the father of the Muslim nation. So it was in a moment of hatred and in a moment of casting out, two nations were created, two nations that are still divided today. And so many years later, now here's what people don't realize, and this is the point that I want to express today, is people don't realize that even how far divided we are, we can still find commonality. We can still find things that bring us together. Good example. I got a great buddy. Love him to death. Great buddy. And I always joke around and I always mess with him when somebody's standing there. I'm like, watch this. I'm like, hey, go Cowboys. And we'll be like chatting, talking Cowboy stuff, People would think we were the best of buds. And then I'd say, go Cardinal, or go Cubs. Being a huge Cardinals fan, he'd be like, okay, that's where the road divides. But even though we don't agree on baseball, we can still agree on football. And so there's always different aspects of our lives that we can always come together and agree on, that we have commonality in that. We all want to wake up each day. We all want to be successful. We all want to have meaning. We all want to have purpose. Like Ishmael wanted to have a purpose. He had a purpose that was taken away. He struggled to find another purpose. We want to end the day knowing that we did something. That we did something. I think that's a foundational commonality for a lot of us, is that we want to end each day better than the day started. I do. I know a lot of people that I talk to and that watch this show and that hang out want to. Nobody wants to make the day worse at night than it was in the morning. Not very many people. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to have a purpose, to have a legacy. And so I'm sure Ishmael struggled with that for years, full of hatred. Just I'm sure plotted many times, how can I get my revenge? How can I get my revenge on this thing that was done to me? But here's the backstory. Here's the backside of that story that I don't know if a lot of people know about. And I just read it and I learned about it, and it just blew my mind, because if you read the story, you would think that there's no way these two brothers can ever come together and reconcile. There's no way. No way. I'm sure Isaac at this point now is like, I'm the man, I'm the dude. I'm the heir. And I don't even know if how much he knew about it, Ishmael. I don't know how much Sarah and Abraham told him, but he knew enough that he had a brother, and he knew that. And so when his father died, when their father died, this one thing they had in common. When Abraham died, Ishmael didn't say, oh well, good for him, whatever. He came and stood by Isaac's side and buried their father. In that moment, they found a common idea. They found a common ground, and that was to lay their father to rest. Even if it was for a moment, even if it was just for that moment, they came together, and in Ishmael set aside all that was done to him, all that hatred, and he came together for a common moment to bury their father. And it just I just wish we could get to that, you know, especially in this season that we're in. You know, we just had an election, and you know, I don't even need to talk about it. You know, there's been, I mean, this country has never been more polarized on either side than it is now. I mean, people have their ideas, people have their beliefs, and that's great. I love it. I love when we have differing ideas, because then that means that more than one is introduced. I love it. I love it. But I just hope in this next few months that we can realize and find that common ground, that we're all in this, on this big piece of dirt. You know, that we all want what we want, the best for America. We all want that. You know, I don't care what side you're on. I mean, everybody has their thoughts and their ideas, but we got to stop letting those things divide us and separate us and say, come together. You know, I love it when I can sit down and talk to somebody and they have a different idea than I do. I don't shrug them off and say, well, that's wrong. I say, well, tell me, why do you think that way? You know, maybe I can learn something from you. You know, or maybe you can learn something from me. Not much. I mean, you might learn how to tell a good joke, but, you know, it's just, we let our ideas and we let, you know, outside forces sculpt our interactions with people, with each other. And it's just sad for me to see that. You know, Alex Trebek was phenomenal. I mean, he was, for a half hour every day, he was must-watch TV. You know, he was on everybody's DVR. He was on everybody's VCR. He was on everybody's phone. I mean, reminders. I mean, I don't even know how many reminders for this show there were. But he brought people together, because the commonality was, well, let's see how smart I am today. Let's see how many questions we can answer. You know, and he just had that air about him, and he just had that air that he just loved everybody. He just loved everybody that was on his show. He loved being a part of the show. He loved that he got to let America in and be part of his show. You know, and it's just great. I just wish that we could come together and let people come in and see, you know, instead of locking the doors, instead of pushing away, instead of saying, well, you're in the wrong party, so I'm not even going to talk to you. If Ishmael can come together after being cast out, you know, with all that hatred and all that rage, and come together, even for a moment, to bury his father and stand beside his brother Isaac, I mean, it's just a great moment. And so I just, you know, there's so many other, you know, stories of people that you would think, man, how they'll never get along. And then you see pictures of them embracing, and you see pictures of them supporting each other. And you know, anytime there's a national crisis, you know, it just seems like we can find that commonality that we want to help each other. Why does that ever go away? Why? Why does that feeling of wanting to help your neighbor ever go away? I don't know. I think we're in that generation now that we're just, you know, for a season just in it, and then it just subsides. I wish we could do all 3 seasons. 4 seasons. It's 4 seasons. I wish we could do all 4 seasons with that same mindset of, you know, I want to help somebody out. You know, holiday season's coming up, Christmas season's coming up, and it just seems like something in that season, in that moment, helps us to realize the commonality that we want to help, that we want to do things, that we want to take care of things. And I think Jesus really tried to preach that message, that we're all, you know, uniquely the same. You know, I mean, he talked that there's no Jews, no Gentiles, no free, no locked up, no anything to him. We're all just equally common to him. And I just love it. I just wish we could get to that point where we could just realize that, life is more common than it is divisive. So I just hope that we can go this week and move on and get through and reach out and say, you know what, the richest tycoon has more in common than the homeless man on the street than we know. I mean, they're both created. They're both equally loved. They're both equally deserving of love. And if we can bridge that gap and make that gap smaller and to be able to reach out and help somebody up and to help somebody through, I think we win. We win every time. We win every time. And that's what I want to see. I want to see us winning. I'm tired of this world and this country losing all the time. I'm tired of seeing people so hateful with each other. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Green Mile. If you haven't seen it, you gotta go get it. Because Michael plays, oh my gosh, this guy, hands down, one of the best performances I've ever seen. He plays the role of John Coffey in The Green Mile, who's put on death row for killing two young girls, which he didn't do. He didn't do it. But back then, circumstances automatically assumed that he did. But he was just this interesting character. I mean, he was able to heal. He was able to feel. He was able to just understand. And he's talking to Tom Hanks' character, and he says, boss, I'm just tired. I'm dog tired. I'm tired of all the ugliness. I'm tired of all the hatred. I'm just tired. I'm ready to rest. And I think America, we're ready to rest. I think we're ready to just say, we're tired of the ugliness. We're tired of being told that we have to not like somebody, not hang out with somebody. We all have equal rights. We all have equal I'm tired. And I hope a lot of you are out there tired. And I hope we can start to just rest in that notion that we're all equal. That God loves us all. He loves you. He loves me. He loves everybody. And when we can soak in that peace, and when we can find that and really come together and we can experience God's love, and then we can go out and give that to somebody else, oh my gosh. I'm telling you. The news outlets wouldn't know what to do with it. They wouldn't even know how to report on it. They'd be like, we don't know what's going on. But I just believe that we're just gonna enter into a season that's gonna say, I'm tired. I'm ready to be restful. I'm ready to be united. I'm ready to sit down with my brothers and sisters. I'm ready to sit down with humanity and say, the tearing apart is not making us stronger, but the repairing and the putting back together is what's only going to get us through this. And my faith is in Jesus. My hope is in Jesus. No matter what happens at the polls, no matter what happens anywhere, He is always going to be on the throne, and He's always going to be in control. And we just have to just pray every day that His peace will just abound. That will just be, the commonality of the day. And when we can just see people reaching across and shaking hands and embracing, and just so many of my African American brothers and sisters have been so beat down this year, and I've been reading stories from way back, and it's just absolutely devastating to see how ugly it was for them, and it still is. And we've got to stand up and say, you know what? Enough is enough for them. We got to stand up and say enough. And we got to stand up and not be afraid of what somebody else is going to say, and know this is what Jesus wants me to say. Jesus wants me to say, I love you. I care for you. I've got so many African American friends. I just love them. I think about them every day. I get to talk to them every day. I get to tell them a joke. I get to make them laugh. I get to hear them say, oh, here he comes. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Because it's our commonality as humans to just try to brighten somebody's day, you know, and that's the way we should be with each other. Find commonality, like Isaac and Ishmael did when their father died, and they put aside their differences and said, you know what, for the memory of our father, we're going to come together, and we're going to do this in love, and we're going to love each other, and we're going to just walk this out. And so when we're in these moments, just remember Abraham or Isaac and Ishmael, and remember what they did, and always remember that Jesus is always in control, even when it doesn't feel like it, even when the chaos is abounding, and you're like, yeah, right, Jesus is in control of this. He is. He is. There's not a moment that goes forth that he doesn't know about. Not one moment. You know, and even when he knew all this craziness was going to happen, all those many years ago, he spoke the words, let it be. So have a good week, guys. We love you here. Have a great week. Go out and love on somebody this week. Go out and just help somebody this week. You know, you just won't realize how good it will feel to be able to help somebody and to embrace them where they're at in their moment. You know, because we have moments. We need somebody to embrace us. And so when we can do that, we can really just help put all that ugliness away, and we can rest. See you guys.